Hello, and welcome back to Sharing a Chapter a Day. This is Do, Ra, me, and today I will be reading Chapter 108 of Engagement in Peril by Dara, Odoe, Sok. Chapter 108 is titled Shinshin and His Testing Team. Now, when it comes to brains in regard to running a team and being a group leader, Shinshin may have gotten the short end of the stick. He was just too damn nice, too nice to everyone that worked with him during the entire time he was in charge of testing with the various groups that he had led these past years for the Cherry Pineapple Grove School District. Although his team was top rated and the best and most efficient team throughout the school district, he didn't seem to realize he was being taken advantage of by everyone that worked for him and with him then. Shinshin was too damn naive to see any of that. Two of the handful that took advantage of him the most were Delilah and her monstrous mother, Lilith. Although he voluntarily did what he did for them, they were the one who encouraged his unprofessionalism and thoughtless behavior. Shinshin was soft and so deep into that bitch that he didn't really see what was happening to him. He simply turned a blind eye and ignored what would have eventually happened to him months down the road. Now, Shinshin had always been the nicest guy you can ever meet, and once you get to know him, he's more than expected. And once he lets you into his heart, he is easily taken advantage of. He had so much trust in people, especially those he cared about, and that was his downfall. I too have bled and stabbed my selfishness into his heart, and he trusted me though I was fucking around his back with the very person he loved dearly. I too have been the burden of his crisis. After all the fooling and fucking behind his back with that bitch Delilah, I could have been the main culprit of his demise, one can say. Once again, I am the one who committed regicide against my kind king. Now, when it comes to his testing team, Shinshin did practically everything for them. He looked out, covered for, and protected them in all aspect one could have for his co-worker and team. Anything they needed or wanted from him, he would go out of his way to please them. Time off, and coming to work late, he allowed it. He knew as long as they work and get the job done, he was cool with him. Personally, he made sure that the work and books were flawless, and boy did those team members pick and pride at his giving heart. Everyone that worked for him and with him was guilty of this, especially Delilah and her Quasimodo looking mother of her, Lilith, that bitch of a mother. From the beginning of the testing for his team, Shinshin wrote out what he wanted from his team member, and in return for their hard work and effort, he rewarded them with longer lunch breaks, various work shifts, and accommodated them in their all needs and requests, whether it was to go to the dentist or doctor making during working hours or some form of other excuses. At times throughout the testing season, he treated his team to various lunches and buffet outing and allowed them to leave work early, where he stayed behind to finish up their work. Shinshin offered and gave rides for all his team members. Anyone that needed a ride to and from work, he gladly picked them up for work and took them home afterward. He did all this for the sake of his team. His effort made his team look great and efficient in the eyes of the coordinators and higher ups. He had no one to impress, and there was no reason for his good deed. It was just the type of stupid person Shinshin was, a fool that would shed his blood for the sake of the team. He sometimes looked the other way when they were not able or not in the mood to come to work. He simply gave them the hours on their time card. He especially did this for Delilah on those days that she had classes at the university during the day. He would let her off and still sign in for her, giving her the hours that she didn't work for her non-deserved, not knowing to him then that she was using those time off going to the university campus to fuck around with me in the bathroom stall and mess around with other that she had relations with. So she was already doing that to him then. While Delilah was fucking behind his back on those school days that she said she had, Shinshin would pick up and take her mother Lilith to work and home since it was his team member after all. Lilith knew her damn daughter was doing this, but she too was playing Shinshin for a fool, and they both had him wrap around their wicked fingers then. Now, not to make any excuses for myself, mind you, I didn't know that Delilah was seeing Shinshin then, or that she was the one he talked about all the time when we hung out. So I ignored it. I was ignorant in that sense. But hey, I was getting mine then, and all I wanted was the release of my minions in on some bitch's blouse, face, and orifice. For all I care about then, I could have been fucking Delilah's mother too, and it wouldn't have mattered to me. I just wanted to inject my piece of heart and flesh in some hoe's hole. Shinshin had given much to this team, and in return he got the bulk of the shaft that later on led to his unwarranted loss of emotion and outbursts once he realized that he had been played and used. On those Tuesday and Thursday that Delilah had classes that fall semester, Shinshin played the fool and gave her the hours, the 8 hours a day for not being there, unknowing that she was unknowing what she was using those time for, where she and I spent our free time off, about, around, and off campus, fucking around in the bathroom stall, in my car, and local businesses around the university's neighborhood. Several times we fucked around in the local Barnes and Noble bookstore, between the books aisle and in their restroom. A quickie here and a quickie there, a jab of my fist into her ravaged hole while she stroked me up and down, until I burst all over her hand and arms. That bitch had the audacity to tell me she loved me while we fucked around at times. I didn't care about her. I didn't bother saying a word to her. It wasn't me to say some sentimental thing like that. I wasn't Shinshin. He was the type who would bare his heart and say how he felt and how much he loved that bitch of a whore. No, it just wasn't me. I've learned that from my past mistake. If Shinshin was still alive and was here to see what I was writing about this so-called lover, he'd probably give me an earful and a piece of his mind. Then again, sorry to say he isn't around. Not anymore after all. And in that aspect, I am regretful and hope that he can forgive me for my backstabbing of him, backstabbing of his trust then. I am so damn selfish then. All I knew and all I wanted then was to satisfy my appetite of fucking around with strangers, passerby and colleagues. I didn't care who I was hurting or what I was doing. I was fucking for the moment and enjoying what was in front of me. I could have been fucking a tree stump and not care. I just simply didn't give a shit, not realizing what I was doing to Shinshin and not regretting, and now regretting what had happened. If I could go back and make a difference, I would gladly take Shinshin's place, just to see his smirk face once again. I'm sure he would gladly forgive me for what I have done to him. It's just the type of person he was. That I can say for sure. The whole time that Shinshin ran his team, he could have had he could have fucked he could have had fuck relation with many of his coworkers, but he was faithful and didn't bother thinking about having relation with anyone else but Delilah. He had the opportunity several times with an attractive Cambodian girl then, Chana, who had very, very large double D sized bosom and was way too friendly with him then, finding ways of getting him to let her do the easy task of grading and recording scores instead of testing students at the various sites they visited then. She was a decent girl after all. Not like Delilah, but Shinshin didn't really have any interest in her physically, although she had an outstanding body and physique, much better and firmer than that of Delilah. I'm sure she could have nourished him for days with those large mammary glands of hers. She could have given support to a whole Marine battalion for all I know. Shinshin was a true trooper, faithful and loyal for what he thought was true love, and he was played right into that hellish bitch's hand. There were others that he could have been with, in relations with, and they would have treated him much better than that Delilah and her mother did. He would have been happy and probably have lived a little longer. Thinking about now, even several male coworkers gave Shinshin hints and soft caresses while they worked together. But he was too ignorant to realize he was being hit on. He was just that type of person, not realizing that others like him for him, not what he can do for them, not how he can use them, not like how he was used by those two damn succubis, Delilah and her bitch of a mother, Lilith, then. Shinshin was the type of person that was loved and attracted by both genders. Shinshin had that aroma about him. He attracted everyone. Even during basic, he had that vibe about him. That shining aura around him. He was so damn cute then. We practically were all in love with Shinshin then. Well, most of us were. I too had fallen for him. Well, more than most. I had fallen then for Shinshin. He was just that he was just that mesmerizing. Thank you for listening. This is the end of chapter 108. Be on the lookout for chapter 109, titled Delilah's Confession, Lilith's Finding. This is Do, Ra, me, and I'll see you later. Thank you.